Hi, you're watching AniVerse English. The story begins with Wu Chen discovering his time loop ability at 7 a.m. on July 7, 2020. Initially, he thinks he's fortunate, believing he has 1,000 years to live. He starts by spending money extravagantly, but eventually gets bored. Seeking excitement, he turns to crime, including gambling, without fear of consequences. After a few hundred years, he becomes desperate and even attempts suicide, but each time, he resets back to the same moment. 1,000 years have passed since he became trapped in the loop. Wu Chen recounts his tale to a skeptical girl named Manhua, who he calls Chan. She responds, "Do you really need to invent such a crazy backstory just to impress a girl?" Wu Chen smirked and admitted that it was an old tactic. Despite knowing Chan won't believe him, he insists it's true. Over his millennium of looping, he has mastered 1,000 languages and developed top-notch hacking skills. Chan is aware of Wu Chen's situation and questions why someone like him would approach her. He explains that whatever happens today doesn't matter, as he will wake up tomorrow back to the same point. Naturally, this unsettles Chan, who has never met anyone like him. Wu Chen struggles to communicate further. Checking her messages, he tells Chan that her friend won't show up because she has gone back to her ex-boyfriend. Despite his assertion, Chan doesn't believe him. Chan predicts that in exactly 9 minutes and 13 seconds, she will receive a call from her friend. This irritates Wu Chen, who stands up and accidentally bumps into a blonde guy. Wu Chen declares that if Chan's friend doesn't call, he's as good as dead. The blonde guy, who turns out to be a gangster, sees Chan as an opportunity and forces her to drink with him despite her reluctance. Chan intervenes, taunting the gangster in response. The gangster tries to intimidate Chan by throwing his cigarette at him. Chan dodges it and gets angry at the failed attempt. The gangster then tries to punch him, but with 1,000 years of experience, Chan swiftly defeats him with an uppercut. Suddenly, the blonde gangster's boss appears with his lackey, resembling the actor from Train to Busan. The boss begins to intimidate Wu Chen, saying he's a dead man. But Chan boldly questions the boss if his big brother Jiao taught him to behave like that. The boss is utterly flabbergasted, wondering how Chen knows about his big brother. Chen proceeds to call Jiao, informing him that his younger brother has been involved in some shady stuff. He then threatens Jiao, hinting at the potential of starting a war in China if his demands aren't met during the May meeting. Finally, Chen warns Jiao to keep his people in check, lest their next encounter won't be a mere phone call. The boss and his lackey are taken aback by Chen's knowledge of the meeting and his connection to Jiao. Even Jiao himself is intimidated by Chen's demeanor and apologizes profusely on behalf of his younger brother. Realizing they've picked a fight with the wrong person, the boss and his lackey quickly apologize, bowing down to Chen with the utmost respect. In a surprising turn, Chen reassures them, saying, "Nah, I'm cool. I'm in a good mood today, so I won't bother y'all." Meanwhile, Chan is equally astonished when her friend calls at the exact time Chen predicted, explaining that her boyfriend has returned and she can't make it to the bar right now. Despite her disbelief, Chen states confidently, "It's not impossible, so come with me." Still skeptical, Chan follows along. Later, they find themselves in a parking lot where they spot a luxurious car. Chan asks if it's Chen's car, but he admits that he stole it. To him, it doesn't matter as he'll just go back to the same day anyway. Curious, Chan questions why Chen would escort a drunk and attractive woman home. Chen replies that he's interested in a woman who uses tons of makeup to look pretty. This provokes Chan, who impulsively removes her makeup. Chen then rates her appearance as a 9/10, much to her surprise. Lastly, armed with his 1,000 years of study in quantum physics, Chen makes a bold proposition. "Want to go to my place? I can prove I ain't lying." "Don't worry, the bed is pretty big," he said with confidence. And with that, Chen came along with him. The next morning, after a long night of, Wu Chen expects Chen to be gone as the day resets. However, to his surprise, she's still there. She questions why he didn't reset the day and asks for an explanation as to why it's now July 8th. For the first time in 1,000 years of resets, it's July 8th. 7 a.m. Wu Chen is shocked to experience this and feels an overwhelming sense of joy. Then, He heads to the toilet while Chan calls out for him, asking what kind of man hides in the toilet and demanding an explanation. Meanwhile, we see Wu Chen taking a shower, reflecting on what happened and realizing it wasn't a dream. Time has started to flow for him. He is finally free from the time loop and imagines himself free and overjoyed for his newfound freedom. Suddenly, a blue system window appears, informing Wu Chen that he has passed the Millennium Test and that the time reincarnation system has been initiated. This surprises him, making him wonder if he's the one who triggered the system. The system then displays his information, showing that his attributes are normal except for his mental strength, which is over 10,000. Additionally, he possesses a multitude of skills after 1,000 years of experience. Though his physical attributes are ordinary, his mental power is exceptionally high. He wonders what the time reset means and if he can control it at will. The system clarifies that he can choose to lock and reset the current time. Furthermore, there's a reminder that the first time he locks the time reset on the same day, he will consume a point of the quota. Each subsequent reset on the same day will consume additional points, with the time doubling each time. Wu Chen smiles, realizing that activating reset and passive reset are two different things. Before his reincarnation, Wu Chen was just an ordinary student with no skills. Now, he boasts 1,003,54 near max level abilities. Having lived through 1,000 constant time resets is the best proof that time is now normal, and he can finally make use of all his skills. Meanwhile, Kin grows increasingly concerned about Wu Chen, thinking he's crazy as she hears him laughing in the bathroom. Wu Chen steps out of the bathroom with excitement on his face, claiming that it is the best day he's had in 1,000 years. Suddenly, they hear knocking outside. It's gangsters accusing Wu Chen of stealing their boss's car, threatening him with dire consequences. As they peek through the peephole, Kin sees 3 angry-looking men who appear to be gangsters demanding they open the door or they'll break it down. Feeling anxious, she blames Wu Chen for stealing someone else's car and getting them into trouble. However, Wu Chen didn't anticipate that this would be just another normal day where anything could happen. He reveals that he stole from a very notorious figure in the underworld named Wang, and now he's being hunted by him. Wang's backstory involves overcoming adversities, with his parents being beaten and disabled by a social worker hired by a third party. Enraged, Wang retaliated by hacking them to pieces and served 3 years in prison. Upon release, he built a formidable reputation in the streets through his intelligence, becoming a powerful figure in East China. This revelation makes Wu Chen very nervous, knowing they've crossed paths with such a formidable man. Wu Chen acknowledges that dealing with Wang is indeed a concern, but he emphasizes that it's a relatively small problem compared to the consequences of borrowing Li Gan's name yesterday. If they don't handle this properly, an insane number of people could be hunted and killed. When asked about his plan, Wu Chen simply smiles and tells Kin that it's easy, he'll just start over again. He calls out to the system, requesting to use the time reset. Suddenly, a blue hologram of a time thingy appears, informing Wu Chen that it will consume 1 time point. The system reveals that his remaining time points are 364,000. However, Chen didn't remember what happened, so Wu Chen explained everything. He instructed her to get dressed, promising to explain everything. But Kin still didn't fully comprehend his urgency. She then tells him that she knew he wouldn't be responsible, but didn't expect him to be so eager to get rid of her. With no other choices, he started to explain that the car he stole belonged to a powerful man named Wang Yingtuan, and his men were likely on their way. Though he wasn't afraid, he couldn't afford to mess with Wang as a commoner. Curious, Chen asked if Wu Chen knew who she was, implying that if he did, he'd know to beg for her help. Wu Chen, however, gently reminded her about their clapping marathon from the previous night, causing her to feel embarrassed. He assured her that he knew someone who could easily fix their problem. Intrigued, Chen asked about this person. Wu Chen smiled and described her as a woman with a lot of heart. The story shifts to where the 2 men are chasing them. One of the guys catches up to them, pointing his gun towards Wu Chen, threatening to kill him if he doesn't stop the car. But that doesn't deter Wu Chen as he sees it as the fun part. He tells Kin to get ready as he speeds up his car, feeling like he's in a Fast and the Furious movie. This, of course, angers them more, prompting the driver to pursue them, stressing the importance of the car to their boss. Wu Chen then starts calling the woman he mentioned earlier. He tells her that a certain Ruobing reminds him that there's a traitor on her side, someone who will create obstacles. The woman asks who he is and how he knows about the BET. Wu Chen then tells her that he has sources and can tell her more about her brother. As the gangsters surround him, Wu Chen continues talking to the woman, instructing her to send someone to meet him downstairs at her office in half an hour for a face-to-face conversation. However, the woman still insists on knowing who he is. Suddenly, two cars pin them, but that doesn't stop Wu Chen as he drifts the car like a pro, showcasing his driving skills at level 9. This surprises the gangsters, who are impressed by Wu Chen's driving abilities. Eventually, he manages to evade the two gangsters chasing him. After some time, Wu Chen arrives at Qian's home, surprising her with how he knew where she lived. However, she recalls that he previously mentioned living for 1,000 years. Furthermore, she asks where he learned his exceptional driving skills. Wu Chen responds that he practiced in real life but had to die numerous times to master the skill. He advises her not to follow his example, explaining that he had many chances but only one life. Despite her skepticism, Ken urges him to stop lying, although she admits to having his number but warns him not to expect her to call again. Suddenly, Wu Chen drives quickly as if he's in a hurry, surprising Ken. She ponders about him, realizing that the guy who fooled her all night might have orchestrated everything, including knowing where she lived. Now she plans to confront her friend about this betrayal, convinced that her friend is behind it all. Half an hour later, Wu Chen finally arrives at the location he recalls from his conversation with Li Ruobing. Li Ruobing, a star entrepreneur in Donghai City, has a complex background. Her brother is a powerful figure who can influence the entire East China region. Due to her beauty, she had a deep relationship with Wu Chen at one point. Wu Chen finds himself in the president's office, and all the guards inform Li of his presence. Wu Chen enters the room, and Li instructs her bodyguard to leave, indicating she wants to talk alone with him. Li then presents her research on Wu Chen, stating that he is a 22-year-old man who graduated from the computer science department of Donghai University. His father is Wu Dui and his mother is Zhang Shujuan, both of whom run a small restaurant. Additionally, she mentions that he has a sister in high school named Wu Xiao. She looks at Wu Chen with an intimidating gaze. However, this doesn't seem to faze him, as he is impressed by her investigative work, acknowledging her ability to gather so much information with just his phone number. Li then begins to critique Wu Chen's information, remarking that he appears ordinary but someone ordinary wouldn't know about the bet. She stands up and demands to know who he is. Wu Chen responds confidently, asserting that he is not ordinary and hints that he knows a lot about her, including the identity of the traitor who has been lurking around her. Furthermore, Wu Chen proposes a deal. If Li gives him 10 million, he will reveal the identity of the traitor, considering it a fair exchange. Undeterred, Li questions the validity of making a deal with someone who suddenly appeared out of nowhere, expressing doubts about the truthfulness of his information. She then reaches for a gun under her desk and threatens Wu Chen, stating that if he doesn't explain himself, he won't leave alive. However, Wu Chen skillfully disarms her, removing the magazine from the weapon and teasing her about how she'll use it now. Wondering how Wu Chen managed to remove the magazine without her noticing, she begins to suspect that while they were talking, Chen somehow took it, pondering how he could have known where it was hidden. Chen continues speaking, asserting that he is an intelligent businessman and that his ability to remove the magazine is a demonstration of his intelligence. He urges Li to trust in his capacity to gather information and assures her that he didn't mean any harm. He was simply there for monetary gain. In his mind, Chen rationalizes that it takes a motive to reach Li, and appealing to money seems reasonable to lower her psychological defenses. When Li asks what else he knows, Chen reveals that he knows she is the eldest daughter of the Li family but was treated differently due to her gender. Despite her efforts to prove herself stronger than men, she couldn't escape her brother's shadow. Chen further explains that Li's mother used to support her, but after divorcing her father and his departure, Li began dating other men, which caused tension. Eventually, she was pressured to marry a man named Ding Rulong, threatening her if she refused. However, she couldn't escape the marriage due to concern for her mother's well-being. To ensure Ding Rulong's demise, Li devised a plan involving 3 fake boyfriends, each with a disastrous outcome. Chen knows that Li's first fake boyfriend committed suicide, the second was institutionalized in a mental hospital, and the third was framed and imprisoned, likely facing a lifetime behind bars. Ding Ruobing, being cautious, orchestrated these events to deter any potential suitors and spread rumors to keep men away from Li to avoid the marriage fate. Li and Ding Ruobing made a secret bet. Each would start a new business, and after 5 years, the one with the more successful business would win the bet. However, what Li doesn't know is that Ding Ruobing covertly recruited someone from her side as a spy, intending to sabotage her business. Chen is aware that Ding Ruobing plans to ruin everything for Li on the day of the business launch. He asks Li if she wants him to keep talking. This leaves Li speechless, and she doesn't respond. Instead, she writes a check for $10 million and agrees to his deal, asking who the traitor is. Suddenly, Fun Yin, the senior assistant, enters requesting Li's signature on a document. Chen swiftly grabs him, pinning him down at the desk and pointing the gun at his head, declaring him as the traitor to Li. Chen then begins to question him about the $5 million in his Swiss bank account, but the man feigns ignorance, pretending he knows nothing about it. Unfazed, Chen makes a call to someone, revealing it to be Ding Ruobing, asking if he received the information, much to Ruobing's surprise. Chen then tosses the man to the ground, asking Ruobing if she wants to continue arguing with him. Ruobing gazes down at Fun, acknowledging that he has made a substantial amount of money over the years, both explicitly and implicitly. She doesn't take it personally, considering their long association, but she never imagined he would betray her for a mere $5 million. Fun pleads for forgiveness as he confesses to taking the money and expresses a desire to reveal something to her. Chen confirms Ruobing's suspicion that Ding Ruobing likely instructed Fun to bring up her mother as a tactic, knowing it's her weakness. Chen understands that Ruobing doesn't believe Fun's words. He then hands the gun to her, urging her to decide what to do with Fun. Ruobing instructs Fun to leave, stating she doesn't want to see him again. He thanks her and departs, surprising Chen, who expected her to kill him. Ruobing clarifies that while she won't do it herself, she will ensure someone else takes care of it, arranging for him to be disposed of at the bottom of the river by tonight. Moreover, Ruobing remains suspicious of Chen's identity, considering the possibility that he was also sent by Ding Ruobing. She speculates that Fun was merely a pawn discarded by Ding Ruobing to gain her trust. Chen scratches his head, acknowledging Ruobing's cautious nature. Despite this, he knows he has a way to dispel her doubts with a bold proposition. He suggests to Ruobing that he become her fake boyfriend. Chen explains to Ruobing that Ding Ruobing is primarily concerned about his reputation and wouldn't risk tarnishing it just to win her over. He suggests that being her boyfriend is the best way for him to prove his innocence. Ruobing reveals that her previous fake boyfriends were all manipulated and harmed by Ding Ruobing, but Chen understands that having a relationship with her could open up new opportunities for advancement. With her gun pointed at him, Ruobing acknowledges Chen's uniqueness, bravery, and youthfulness. She questions if he's afraid, but Chen, unfazed, smiles and suggests that if she truly wanted to kill him, she would have already done so. Ruobing smiles back, finding a liking for Chen. They decide to take an intimate selfie together, knowing that Ruobing can use it to both discuss with Ding Ruobing and verify Chen's legitimacy. Ruobing then declares that from that day forward, Chen will be her boyfriend and offers him a position as her personal assistant. She promises to arrange proper credentials for him later and then asks about her brother. Chen reveals to Ruobing that her brother oversees the East China Sea Crown, a significant establishment in the region's entertainment scene, alongside other prestigious venues like the China Sea Crown and South China Sea Plaza. Ruobing acknowledges that these facts are well known throughout the East China Sea area. Chen explains that the East China Sea Crown has become embroiled in activities that extend beyond its usual scope, involving prominent celebrities, wealthy individuals, and even officials. Investigations into these matters began 3 months ago, and based on current information, it's estimated that the authorities will close within another month at most. Ruobing is taken aback by this revelation, realizing that it not only poses a problem for her brother, but also for the Li family as a whole. She understands that once the authorities close in, her brother could face imprisonment and their family may have to sever ties with him if necessary. This news deeply concerns Ruobing, prompting her to ask Chen if he is certain about the accuracy of his information. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the East China Crown Entertainment Club, we see the gangsters from earlier as they try to explain to Li Ruobing, his right-hand man and the boss of those gangsters, Zhang Yuan, what happened that day. Now, Deng hears their explanation about how Chen injured Xia's men, stole his car, and borrowed Mr. Li's name. He's wondering if this guy wants to live. Another man, Li Rui's left-hand man named Xiao Gaisai, also speaks, recalling how strange it was that the guy had his phone number and knew about the May rally. Lastly, the eldest grandson of the Li family, formerly known as Li Ruobing, tells them that for whatever reason, he wants all of them to find Chen and bring him to him as he wants to kill him with his own hands. Suddenly, we see Ruobing barge in alongside Chen, surprising the three men, including her brother. We can see that Rai is scared of his big sister as he is surprised that she is there. He even orders the two men to put out their cigarettes as his sister doesn't like the smell of smoke. Finally, Li Ruobing, his right-hand man, asks Chen why Ruobing came in person, wondering if there is any urgent matter. Ruobing was there just to introduce him to someone, which is Chen. Chen then shows the car key and tells Li Ruobing that yesterday he borrowed his car to play, and tells him that his car is in the underground parking lot, fantasy fashion. One of the lackeys recognizes him and tells them that this is the guy who used his name. Chen, looking at Ruobing, knows about him of course, as he knows that he is the eldest grandson of the Li family and the most favored. He can use most of the family's power. Compared to Li Ruobing, Ruobing is really strong, and his strength is not weaker than Ding Rulong's. The story of the two siblings is that Ruobing grew up tough. Since she was a child, she spared no effort whether to protect her brother or beat him. This also led Ruobing to respect and fear his sister. Ruobing then points out Chen, while he is very scared, but Ruobing doesn't care as she pinches his ears like a little kid and tells him that this is his brother-in-law. Of course, this shocks him to hear that. Even his right and left-hand comrades are shocked as well. Ruobing asks her if she's playing a fake boyfriend trick again, knowing that Chen she picked this time is too ordinary, asking for a reason why he has to be with him. Ruobing doesn't know what to say, so she just acts like she isn't feeling well and blames Chen instead. Chen whispered to her, noticing that she was adding too much drama, and asked if he was afraid that Ding Rulong would kill him. Chen wasn't, however. He couldn't help but notice her little brother was stunned. Ruobing still doesn't accept his sister's relationship with Chen and now entertains negative thoughts, wondering if his sister is pregnant. If all of that is true, he sees Chen and notes that he doesn't look bad, but he isn't the most handsome either. He knows that his sister likes older men and wonders why she's going out with a man in his early 20s. He also wonders if Chen intends to deceive her. He starts to imagine scenarios, knowing that sometimes love makes people blind and lowers their IQ. Now he wants to save his sister from that man. Rai then asks Chen how they met each other. Chen responds that it was 3 months ago when his sister was recruiting interns at a university. This shocks Ruobing as she really did recruit interns. However, she's surprised that Chen knows about that. Ruobing then tells his big sister that she has only known him for like 3 months, questioning if she really got to know that man in such a short time. He then tries to intimidate Chen and mentions hearing that Chen was with a girl at the Lotus Bar yesterday. Chen explains to him that the girl he was with was no ordinary person. She was Myun, the daughter of Mu Ai, the owner of the East China Simu Biomed Group. Ruobing then looks at Chen and remembers his little brother telling him that he should thank Chen because if he hadn't stopped Luzi, his little brother, from making a move on her yesterday, he might not have been able to fix that situation. Chen explains more about Myun's family. The East China Simu Biomed Group is the leading biomedical group in the region, and Mo Hai, the head of the board, supports billions of dollars or is a deputy to the National People's Congress. There are many lucrative contracts involved. Chen imagines that if the East China Sea Group is a dragon, then the Mo Group is like a small snake to them. He further explains that even if they were to win against Mo's group, they would still have to pay a huge price. This revelation leaves Ruobing in awe, and he thanks Chen for the information. After Ruobing sees her brother's reaction, she doesn't expect that, realizing he is not easily swayed by mere words. She wants to stop the nonsense as they are there for something important, Someone from above wants to move the crowds, shocking her brother and the others. Ruota tells her that he can't take care of everything. He would know if that were the case. Chen interjects, telling him that he shouldn't have taken the video to blackmail those people and his business with Shi, who should have been cut off long ago. Ruobing hears this and gets mad at her brother, questioning why he's still in touch with Shi after she has repeatedly told him that she is not a good person. Ruota attempts to explain, but Chen cuts him off, agreeing with Ruobing that she is not a good person and that he has sold Ruota out this time, putting the blame on him for what happened. Feeling afraid and shocked, Ruota tells Chen that his sister didn't even know about his business with Shi, asking Chen how he knew about it and who told him. Chen responds, saying he doesn't need clarification. He was there for Ruobing, not for Ruota. He will only help Ruota because he is Ruobing's brother, and if something happens to him, she will be sad. However, Rue remains angry and continues to press Chen, even threatening him. He warns Chen that if he doesn't clarify things today, he won't walk out of their territory alive. Ruobing tries to calm him down and asks him to let Chen finish talking, but Rue remains upset. He tells his sister that he doesn't care how Chen lied to her, but he won't believe a liar who can't even speak clearly. Chen then shared something crucial that only a select few people in China were aware of. He recounted an incident from 4 months ago when a man named Li Ruobing was parachuted into the East China Sea Police Department as the deputy director to handle Crown Entertainment. Furthermore, he informed them that some investigators disguised themselves as guests to go undercover, while others lurked in the clubhouse gathering substantial evidence. Chen produced a list of the undercover agents. Upon seeing this, Ruota commanded his lackey to alert everyone to grab weapons. He instructed his trusted partner to lead his men to investigate the list, emphasizing to Chen that if the information proved to be incorrect, it would be Chen's responsibility. Chen remained composed and casually inquired about the budget available for this operation. After some deliberation, Ruota reviewed the footage and reiterated his orders for his lackey to apprehend the individuals on the list immediately. However, Chen cautioned against capturing them, explaining that their absence would arouse suspicion. He warned Ruota that if one of them went missing, others might start acting up as they had evidence related to some casino-related activities. Advising him to exercise caution, Rue asked Chen what he needed to do. Chen responded by asking Ruota if he wanted to proceed with their current course of action and risk going to jail, or if he wanted to find a safer solution. Rue calmed down and asked if Chen had any solutions in mind. Chen then advised him to instruct his people not to take any further action just yet. Following Chen's advice, Ruota issued the necessary orders and then asked about the next step. However, Chen simply smiled and told him to apologize first, assuring Rue that he would handle everything. Chen took that action to demonstrate respect since he is now part of Ruobing's family. Ruobing questioned Chen about his actions, stating that he should be helping Ruota as they are now family. Chen responded, indicating that Ruota doesn't see him as family. Feeling nervous, Ruota asked Chen what he meant, reminding him that he had proved Chen to be part of the family. He approached Chen sincerely, expressing regret for his previous behavior, explaining that he was only afraid that Chen might be deceiving his sister, which is why he acted that way. Chen sighed and told Rue that for the sake of his sister, he had come up with an idea. He explained that the first step was to eliminate Su because he knew too much. Chen provided Ruota with intelligence about Su's whereabouts, mentioning that he frequently visited Villa 177 in the Lotus Pond Manor to indulge in drugs with his mistress. Chen suggested that if Ruota were to make it appear as though Su had died from a drug overdose, no one would suspect him. Chen explained that all the evidence was in Liaobo's possession. Ruota needed to retrieve and destroy the evidence to ensure his safety. Chen warned that Liaobo was too powerful for Ruota to handle alone. Chen provided a secret safe's exact address on Willow Street, 2nd Unit, Room 501, under the master bedroom closet, where a hidden safe is located. He also disclosed the password, 571-1564, which would grant access to the evidence inside. Due to the sensitive nature of the mission, Chen emphasized that only Rue could send someone to steal and destroy the evidence to prevent leaks. Rue was taken aback by how much Chen knew and the level of detail provided, including the password for the safe. Despite this, Ruobing continued to discuss the third step of the plan. He explained that he needed to inform his father about the matter, particularly regarding his business with Shi, emphasizing that it involved the Wei family. The Li family and the Wei family had been hostile for many years, engaging in a full-scale war that resulted in many people going to prison. The Wei family had always held the upper hand, leading Master Li to ally with the Ding family against the Wei family. Ruobing emphasized the need to stop any opportunistic actions from the Wei family as they might seek to take advantage of the situation to further their conflict with the Li family. Ruobing agreed without hesitation, understanding the gravity of the situation. Lastly, the fourth step involved setting fire to the crown. Ruobing needed to ensure that the fire received media attention, allowing him to justify shutting down and renovating the club without raising suspicion. With these 4 steps outlined, Chen assured Ruobing that if he completed them, he would be safe. Big Sis Ruobing, with a firm grip on Ruobing's ears, scolded him, insisting he heed Chen's advice. Their conversation was abruptly interrupted by a phone call, informing Ruobing of a staggering loss of 2 billion in the casino. Despite his attempt to attribute the loss to a business matter, Ruobing's feigned ignorance was transparent to the others, especially when the name Shang Guangjun was mentioned, the owner of Fuang Aluminum, which shocked Ruobing. Descending the stairs, the trio proceeded to investigate the situation firsthand. Along the way, Chen elaborated on Shang Guangjun's recent activities. Shang had arrived in the East China Sea the previous day with the explicit intention of ridding Macau of its seasoned gambling experts, aiming to restore the city's reputation. Chen further enlightened Ruobing on Shang's disregard for Shun's crew, emphasizing his focus on the casino. With brutal honesty, Chen detailed Shang and Shi's nefarious business practices, exploiting their connections to swindle less influential individuals and embezzle funds from the crown gambling establishment. This revelation left Ruobing stunned, realizing the extent of Shang Guangjun's financial losses, which had triggered a cash flow crisis for his company. To mitigate the financial strain, Shang had sought additional capital, only to discover that numerous affluent individuals had also suffered losses alongside him. In a desperate bid to salvage the situation, Shang had confided in the Li family's long-standing rivals, the Wei family, who seized the opportunity to forge alliances with other disgruntled parties. Armed with incriminating footage, they were poised to dismantle Ruobing's family empire. Under ordinary circumstances, Shang wouldn't dare to incite a gambling expert to disrupt the venue, as he couldn't risk provoking the Li family. However, his disregard for consequences was palpable now. He knew Ruobing's fate was sealed. Seething with rage, Ruobing confronted Shun, accusing him of daring to meddle in his affairs and boldly predicting Shun's imminent demise. As they observed Shang Guangjun, the boss of Fuang Aluminum, reveling in his victory alongside his gambling expert, the trio approached him, acknowledging his good fortune. Shin greeted them with a smile, boasting about his substantial winnings of the day and casually inquiring if Ruobing minded. Defiantly, Ruobing dismissed the money as inconsequential to the Li family's wealth, insisting they could afford losses. Shin then subtly criticized Ruobing's leadership, pointing out how all the experts from the Crown Club had lost despite taking turns playing. Chun interjected, expressing skepticism about Shin's assessment and proposing a gamble. Shin chuckled, addressing Ruobing, questioning the presence of a youngster like Chun and teasing him about his modesty. He then recounted how he had defeated Ruobing earlier, despite losing 200 million, and expressed his eagerness to continue the game, much to the siblings' apprehension. Ruobing, sensing Shan's ulterior motive, wondered if Chun possessed gambling prowess as well. Ruobing hesitated, unsure of her next move. In the mind of the gambling expert, mastery lies in deciphering opponents' psychology through subtle expressions and habitual gestures. Such expertise comes only with years of experience, a trait typically absent in younger players like Chen. Yet, studying Chen's seemingly naive demeanor, the expert confidently deduced his hand. Feeling apprehensive, Ruobing approached Chen, questioning his readiness for the challenge. With unwavering confidence, Chen assured her of his ability to triumph over any casino worldwide. Meanwhile, the expert scrutinized Chen's behavior, noting his disregard for examining the concealed card, pondering if it was a habitual oversight. Revealing the formidable ace of spades, Chen increased his wager to $500,000. Despite the expert's call, maintaining the bet at $500,000, he ultimately folded, conceding defeat. As rounds progressed, the expert continued folding, unable to match Chen's consistent $500,000 bets across 8 to 21 rounds. Rai engages Shun in conversation, noting the dwindling luck of their hired expert. However, Shun remains optimistic, anticipating a turnaround in fortune with Ruobing. Recollecting a crucial detail from their earlier conversation in the car, Shun recalls the expert's strategy of deliberately conceding early matches to study opponents' habits and thought processes, followed by strategic play to entice them. Assuring Rai of their impending victory, Shun places full trust in their partnership, particularly considering Ruobing's substantial losses exceeding $200 million. As round 30 unfolds, Chen confidently wagers $1 million. Observing this, the expert contemplates a direct approach without relying on glimpses of concealed cards. Chen's apparent reliance on luck is perceived as a calculated move within his broader strategy. Assessing Chen's likely weak hand, possibly a mere pair of kings, the expert resolves to go all in, confident in his imminent victory. On the opposing side, Ruobing considers Chen's hand to hold greater promise, despite not having viewed the bottom card, leaving the outcome uncertain. Undeterred, Chen boldly opts to go all in, prompting the expert to reassess his position. In a display of bravado, Chen taunts the expert, deriding the stakes as insufficient and proposing a substantial increase of $100 million. With confidence etched on his face, he dismisses the notion that an additional $100 million would suffice, advocating instead for a doubled sum of $200 million chips. Agreeing to this proposal, Ruobing calls for the added $100 million, prompting Chen to raise his bet by another $100. Observing Chen's behavior, the expert notes his tendency to gesture towards the hidden card only when crucial, indicating a high likelihood of it being an ace. Consequently, he folds, cautioning Chen against his eagerness and suggesting a more tempered approach. Ruobing, sensing the tension, inquires about Chen's bottom card, to which Chen denies it is an ace, revealing a surprising two of hearts. Chen nonchalantly attributes the expert's hesitation to his own reluctance to match the intensity of the game. Finally recognizing Chen's prowess, the expert concedes, acknowledging his opponent's astuteness while resolving to remain vigilant against further exploitation of his habits. After 31 rounds, the expert finds himself holding 9 diamonds, believing he and Chen share identical hands. Unless Chen's concealed card happens to be the 9 of spades, victory seems assured for the expert. Confident in his position, he sees the trap closing around Chen, buoyed by the slim probability of all 4 knights appearing in a single game. Pressing forward with his strategy, the expert proposes a showdown, suggesting they both wager the accumulated $200 million in an all-in bet to determine the victor. Chen, intrigued by the move, opts to participate and calls. Sensing the rising tension, Ruobing voices concern over the risk of betting more than $200 million, a sentiment echoed by Ruobing, though his underlying nervousness betrays his words. Observing this exchange, the two men share a smirk, noting Ruobing's conflicted confidence and apprehension. As the expert confidently commits to an all-in move, he offers Chen a piece of gambling wisdom. Maintaining mental composure is paramount. Mocking Chen's apparent recklessness for betting without fully assessing his hand, the expert reveals his own hand, boasting 2 pairs with 9 diamonds, convinced of his impending victory and the secure acquisition of the $200 million. Observing this exchange, Chen smirks at Rai, alluding to their affluent background and implying that losing such a paltry sum wouldn't faze him, subtly mocking Rai in the process. However, Chen has yet to reveal his hand. Sporting a smirk of his own, he prompts the expert to finish his declaration. With a flourish, Chen unveils the 9 of black spades, stunning the expert with his unexpected move. Bewildered, the expert questions if Chen cheated, deeming it impossible for him to have acquired such knowledge legitimately. He demands to know when Chen could have possibly gained insight into the cards. With a confident smile, Chen admits to scrutinizing his cards since the outset of the game, challenging the expert to attempt observation without detection. Acknowledging the expert's skill, Chen criticizes his hubris, highlighting the oversight in underestimating Chen's capacity to decipher his strategy with minimal exposure. Chen questions the validity of the expert's perceived flaws, challenging the notion that his habitual actions were indeed predictable patterns. Chen doesn't outright accuse the expert of being outplayed but subtly hints at his control over the game since the beginning, effectively reversing the roles and catching the expert off guard. It's like Chen just pulled off an Uno reverse card move on him. Perhaps they should switch to playing Uno instead at this point. Meanwhile, Ruobing exudes confidence and ease, taunting Shun by revealing that the funds he used were all borrowed, implying Shun's precarious financial situation. Shin signals to his hired expert for a private conversation outside. However, Chan intervenes, surprising Shin with his assertiveness. He questions why they aren't permitted to leave after losing, challenging their treatment of guests. Ruobing, equally taken aback, joins in questioning the restriction. Chen defers further explanation later and requests a knife. Ruobing obliges, handing over his pocket knife. Chen approaches the expert, revealing a concealed pocket in his sleeve where he discovers an ace card. Confronting the expert, he reveals that he had requested a card check before the 15th round and seized the opportunity to pilfer the ace of spades, secreting it away. He challenges the expert, questioning whether he truly believed Chan hadn't noticed, emphasizing that he refrained from exposing the cheating until he secured victory. Chen demands an explanation for the deceit, while Shun remains unaware of the unfolding situation. Attempting to minimize the gravity of the situation, the expert dismisses it as a mere misunderstanding. Chun seizes the expert, accusing him of violating the rules and understanding the repercussions. Without warning, he stabs the expert's hand as punishment, causing the expert to writhe in agony. Chan, asserting dominance, intimidates Shun while the expert grapples with pain, insisting he had no knowledge of the cheating and did not intentionally hire a cheater. Returning the knife to Ruobing, Chan announces his departure. He delegates the remaining matters to Ruobing, cautioning against involving them further in the clubhouse's affairs. Walking away with the woman, she queries if inflicting pain feels gratifying. Chen refutes it, expressing it as anything but. When asked why, he cryptically alludes to the potential consequences if the roles were reversed, before striding away confidently. Observing Chen's demeanor, Ruobing feels uneasy, questioning how he can remain composed after inflicting harm. She wonders if such actions might provoke retaliation, casting a wary eye on Chen's nonchalant attitude. As they settle into the car, Ruobing reflects on her earlier surprise at Chen's gambling prowess. Chen graciously acknowledges her compliment, but humorously reminds her not to overlook his pending bills. Suddenly, Chen notices something amiss, prompting Ruobing to inquire. He reveals that they are being followed, a suspicion corroborated by their driver. Reacting swiftly, Ruobing orders the driver to lose their tail, suspecting it to be one of Ding Rong's henchmen, as he often sought to keep tabs on her. However, Chen discerns it's not Ding Rong but another party, with himself as the intended target, not Ruobing. Leveraging his understanding of quantum physics, Chen subtly reassures Ruobing, taking her hand and promising to handle the situation. His calm demeanor surprises her, sparking a brief moment of admiration for his impressive skills, though she wonders if Chan might be using the situation as an excuse to make advances towards her. Ruobing, recognizing Chen's likely hunger after his successful endeavor, decides to treat him to lunch. As they enter the restaurant and place their orders, Chen observes the familiarity of the patrons with Ruobing and questions if they might perceive him as a competitor. However, Ruobing assures him that she simply wishes to expand his acquaintance circle. Their lunch takes an unexpected turn when an elderly gentleman, none other than Mr. Han Deli, the chairman of the Longcheng Innovation Group, appears. Surprised by Ruobing's presence, Mr. Han engages her in conversation, prompting her to introduce Chen as her boyfriend, who had a craving for Cantonese cuisine. She then formally introduces Chen to Mr. Han, mentioning his affiliation with the Longcheng Innovation Group, although Chen is already aware of this detail. Mr. Han expresses pleasure at meeting Chen, noting his handsome appearance. Chen graciously thanks Mr. Han for his compliment, appreciating his kindness. However, Mr. Han soon realizes his time constraints and apologizes for interrupting their date, citing prior engagements with clients. Ruobing expresses admiration for Mr. Han's friendly nature, mentioning his role as an officer of the East China CA Chamber of Commerce, though Chen is already aware of this detail. Acknowledging Chen's familiarity with Mr. Han, Ruobing agrees, recognizing Chen as an astute businessman. However, Chen humbly notes that not everyone may share the desire to befriend Ruobing, prompting her to reflect on her numerous rivals, particularly among other women. Yet, she finds the notion of considering herself as an enemy to be absurd and seeks validation from Chen, who concurs. Their conversation is interrupted by the unexpected arrival of a blonde woman who exudes a streetwise demeanor. Identifying herself as Lu Kaishu, formerly known as Lu Luin from Luin Village, Irma County, Donghai City, Chen recognizes her as a business competitor. 7 years prior, she married Lu Guan, chairman of the Dingyi Jewelry Group, and established Yunu fashion cooperation with his assistants. She stands as a formidable rival to Ruobing's business endeavors. Liu's mockery strikes a nerve with Ruobing, who swiftly rebukes her, choosing to brush off the insult for the sake of maintaining decorum. She implores Liu to cease her taunts, but Liu persists, continuing to belittle Ruobing and questioning her sensitivity to others' opinions. Unable to tolerate Liu's relentless bullying any longer, Ruobing reaches her breaking point and prepares to retaliate by hurling her pumpkin spice latte. However, Chen intervenes, urging her to remain composed and assuring her that he will handle the situation. He approaches Liu and scrutinizes her closely, causing her to feel uneasy. Liu questions his intense gaze, to which Chen responds by suggesting he recognizes her from somewhere, inquiring if she has ever worked in a nightclub. Naturally, the girl becomes enraged. She confronts Chen, incredulous at his slanderous remarks, and demands to know if he recognizes her. Chen retorts, refuting her accusation of slander, and points out that her past cannot be concealed by cosmetic enhancements. This revelation catches the girl off guard, pondering how Chen is aware of her previous plastic surgery and her tenure in nightclubs a decade ago, information she believed was buried in the past. Her astonishment renders her speechless. Ruobing, too, is taken aback, realizing that Chen's intelligence network surpasses her expectations. Chen asserts that it's premature to admire him, hinting that more surprises await. Suddenly, Lu Guan, Lu's husband and the chairman of the Donghai Jewelry Group, as well as the vice president of the Donghai Chamber, intervenes, inquiring about the commotion. Lu approaches her husband, alleging that Chen insulted her and demands retribution for his supposed slander regarding her nightclub employment. Mr. Lu questions Ruobing about her companion, to which he identifies Chen as her boyfriend. Mr. Lu then attempts to intimidate Chen, asserting his standing in Donghai and equating Chen's actions to a personal affront. He insists that such matters cannot be resolved with mere words. Chen responds coolly, suggesting that there's someone who can resolve the situation. Mr. Lu questions if Chen dares to touch him simply because he is Ruobing's lackey. Chen clarified that he wasn't referring to Ruobing. He then asks if the person Mr. Lu is referring to is a man named Ma Fong. This shocks Mr. Lu, who asks how Chen knows about that. He then suggests they talk in another room. In the other room, Chen begins to tell him 2 stories. The first story is about Li Luin, who, 10 years ago, was encouraged by her mistress to work in a nightclub and earn quick money. During this time, she met a very wealthy customer. This customer was involved in the demolition business and had a dispute with someone when he was young. After being released from the hospital, the doctor told him that he would have difficulty having children in the future. The doctor said the customer had been unable to have children since then, and even in vitro fertilization had been unsuccessful. The customer revealed this secret when he was drunk, and upon learning about it, Li Luin formulated an evil plan. Chen explained that Li Luin underwent a facelift and changed her name to Lu Kaishu. With the help of her mistress, she became the wealthy client's mistress. 3 months later, Lu Kaishu got pregnant and successfully gave birth to a boy. However, the child was not the customer's, but was fathered by Lu Kaishu's mistress. Knowing a paternity test would be required, they paid a large sum of money to the doctor to falsify the results. Chen then tells Mr. Lu that he should have realized the child does not resemble him, but he refuses to accept this reality because of his strong desire to have a child. The final part of their plan is to have him die in an accident, allowing them to inherit billions of dollars. Mr. Lu looked at Chen skeptically, questioning if Chen expected him to believe all this based on a few words. In response, Chen asked if his wife's cousin works at the company, revealing that the so-called cousin is actually her lover, implying that they are still cheating on him. Chen told Mr. Lu that his wife had an affair with her lover the previous afternoon. To avoid suspicion, she deliberately took the stairs. He suggested that this could be easily investigated by checking the surveillance cameras at the Yunu company or directly asking her, though he would need to trick her into revealing the truth. Mr. Lu then approached Lu and asked if she and her cousin had been in the office yesterday. Lu, sweating nervously, said they were in the office all day. However, Mr. Lu remembered that Chen had told him they went out to meet a client yesterday and were not at the office. Lu tried to lie again, claiming her cousin might have been mistaken, but Mr. Lu responded that he would call and verify this. Lu then changed her story, saying they did go out yesterday afternoon to meet a client, but returned by 2 or 3 p.m. and spent the rest of the day in the office discussing promotions. She feigned confusion over why he was suddenly questioning her and tried to play the victim. Mr. Lu had enough of her nonsense and shouted at her, questioning if she really thought he was unaware of the scandal between her and her cousin. He then slapped her and told her to leave, saying he would deal with her later. Filled with sadness, Mr. Lu apologized to Chen and Ruobing for losing his temper in front of them. Ruobing assured him that they wouldn't say a word about it. Mr. Lu explained that he just wanted to have a child and never imagined he would be used for such a scheme. Minutes later, he resigned himself to the fact that he might never have a child. But then, Chen surprised him by saying he was wrong and revealed that he already had a very good son. This revelation shocked Mr. Lu, who then asked Chen to tell him the second story. Chen began to recount the tale of a couple who were childhood friends. They fell in love and thought they would spend the rest of their lives together. However, the man became wealthy and eventually cheated on her, running away with his lover and the money, unaware that his former partner was pregnant. The woman gave birth to a boy and cut off ties with her parents, feeling ashamed of having a child out of wedlock. She raised the child alone, telling him that his father was dead out of hatred. Years later, the boy became successful in his career, started his own family, and now they are a happy family of 4. The greedy man who ran away is none other than Mr. Lu himself. Chen tells him that he indeed has a child and even a granddaughter. Mr. Lu smiles with amazement and happiness, asking for his son's name. Chen responds that his name is Ma Wei, taking his mother's surname. This surprises Mr. Lu, who learns that his ex-fiancée never married. Chen explains that she lost trust in men and has been living in Dong Hai all this time, aware of Mr. Lu's newfound wealth. However, she never sought him out, having been hurt too deeply by him. Chen then provides Mr. Lu with Ma Wei's address, suggesting that whether she has forgiven him is something he must find out for himself. Mr. Lu walks away happily, expressing his gratitude and stating that if he can reconcile with her, he will be forever indebted. Ruobing, amazed once again that another influential person owes him a favor, understands the potential usefulness of this connection in the future. As night falls, Ruobing drops Chen off at his house before leaving. Before parting ways, Ruobing calls Chen closer, wanting to share something with him. Surprising him, she kisses him and then reveals her plan to make Ding Ronglong ill as he enjoys spying on her. Blushing, Chen asks if that was her first kiss. Ruobing counters by asking if his reaction is also part of his intelligence. Chen smirks, teasingly attributing his reaction to her technique, joking that it was so forceful it hurt his mouth. With that, he walks away. Meanwhile, Chen and her friend Lily are at Chen's house. Chen expresses her hunger and desire to go out for a meal, but Lily hesitates as she is waiting for a guy she meets whom she calls a pervert. Chen suspects that Lily has been influenced by this guy and doesn't want to let him off easily. Chen recalls the day after meeting Lily and inquiring about Chen, only to realize that Lily wasn't who she expected. Wondering how Chen knows her address triggers Lily's protective instincts, prompting her to confront Chen for intruding. Chen, however, only intended to inquire about Chen and didn't expect Lily's strong reaction. Suddenly, Chen arrives at the door, leading Lily to suspect him of cheating and labeling him as a horrible person. Chen retorts, questioning how she could confront him boldly if she believes he's not good. As Chen approaches, Lily becomes nervous and pulls out a taser, warning him to stay away. Ignoring their threats, Chen continues to aggravate Lily, who accuses him of playing games. She threatens to use the taser, but Chen intervenes, revealing that Yahweh, Lily's partner, is cheating on her. Confused, Lily asks for clarification, prompting Chen to recount Yahweh's recent activities. He explains that 4 days ago, Yahweh visited his lover in Unit 201, 19, Fuyuan Road, Donghai, after spending time at KTV with friends. Yahweh ran out of money and turned to Lily, behaving like a gold digger. Despite her disbelief, Chen suggests she put him to the test with a phone call scam. Annoyed and angry, Lily asserts her confidence in her judgment of men, declaring she'll call her boyfriend to prove Chen wrong. Lily tests her boyfriend by falsely claiming there's $10,000 in the bedroom dresser drawer and asking if he's home. Her boyfriend responds that he's home and will check the drawer in half an hour. This confirms Chen's suspicion, leading Lily to believe her boyfriend isn't home. She rushes off, leaving Keen behind. Chen hurries to her and asks why she's there. He suggests they go inside for another clapping marathon. Curious, Chen asks why he picked her up. Chen teases her, saying a princess shouldn't tire easily. With that, Chen and Chen embark on another clapping marathon that night. With that, part 1 of this great story concludes. As for Chen's next plan, although he already knows it, we're left in suspense. Tune in next time for the next part of this series. Thank you for watching, and I'm glad you enjoyed it.